Roy, before we get into talking about what you're doing, I just want to get your take a little bit on what's going on with Nick Diaz and this whole thing. What do you think of this? Missing press conferences, going from main event to co-main event, and then back up to main event and missing a conference call. My take is, hey, you know what? I know it's a pain in the backside, but, you guys make your money by getting the word out there about your fights. What's your take on that?
I would have to agree with you to a certain degree, but actually we get paid to fight and then the promoters to promote.
But don't you think it's like, hey, especially when you have a top-level guy and people want to hear him, that the public deserves to have him come out just like, hey, Chael Sonnen does, just like you do, just like Frank Mir does. All you guys do it. Why can't he?
I think this is his form of PR because everybody's talking about it, and he hasn't even showed up. So apparently he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's just doing it a little opposite.
Well,
but you don't think that way. I mean, obviously, the line earlier about, hey, it's a promoter's job to promote the fighters, you know that you still have to do a lot of the promotion yourself, and you do that.
Yeah, no, see, I have a different standpoint on promoting because, like, at the end of the day, I know it's about the fighters. So I think that's where he gets it too. Is if it doesn't really matter what type of promotion it is or who's doing the promotion, it's the fighters that fans want to see. So you just want to try to give back to the fans, and that I think that's kind of the difference. But he also understands that he's the fighter, and you're going to pay to see him anyways, just because he's the fighter. It's kind of like the Mayweather, syndrome type stuff.
Yeah, Mayweather does enough talking. It's just the kind of things he says when he's talking, and I think the problem becomes sometimes.
Do you think there are, hey, Roy, and we're talking to Roy Nelson, it's Steve and Kevin here on the Jewelers of Las Vegas MMA Insiders. Do you think and do you talk to other fighters who are like, hey, what Nick is getting away with is bull crap. I don't like doing the promotion stuff either, so maybe I don't want to do it.
Not really. I mean, see, there's some people that just, I guess, strive just for that attention because they didn't get that attention when they were kids. Maybe that's what it is. And there's a few of us that just actually hate doing some of the stuff, but it's some of the hoops that we jump through. But then when you're a superstar and you're getting paid a couple bucks, then you're gonna be the entertainer that everybody wants you to be.
Speaking of superstars, one of the early MMA superstars, Mirko Cro Cop, is your opponent a week from tomorrow night at UFC 137 down at Mandalay Bay, where the Flying Fishes play. And I had a chance to talk to Mirko yesterday, Roy, and it really was kind of fascinating. He is now all of a sudden aware of his kind of fighter mortality, and I want to show that the real Cro Cop is still around, and that what you've seen the last couple of times out is not me. What do you make of where he is in his career? Can he be as dangerous as he was in 05 and 06 when he might have been the most feared guy on the planet?
You know what? I think the thing is everybody's always quick to judge, especially, I know from the same feeling where people are just quick to judge to go, oh, it's this or it's that, and they're not the ones actually in there. Cro Cop's fought some, tough guys his last couple fights. He's still the same guy, from 2006, 2007, a little bit older. If anything, he's probably a little bit wiser, as in, technique-wise. He's, I think what it is everybody's been capitalizing on his mistakes versus like before he capitalized on everybody else's mistakes. So I think it's actually just everybody around is actually kind of just evolved a little bit, more so that they can capitalize on when he makes a mistake.
So basically you're saying he made a mistake by announcing left leg cemetery, right leg hospital. Now he gave his secret away, eh?
Pretty much.
Roy Nelson's with us. I think you're going to tell me I'm nuts on this, but the one thing I have trouble getting by right now with Cro Cop, and maybe I just bought into the image that he was like the stoic killer. It's almost it's freaked me out that he's showing personality now, but it actually has me thinking that he's not fighting for the same reasons anymore. Like he's not as motivated with a killer instinct.
Oh, he's motivated based on the conversation I had with him the other day.
Okay, Roy, you don't. I mean, do you see that? Like, is there less intensity with him, or it is just all physical and kind of game planning and making mistakes?
You know what? I'm not. I think it's just with Cro Cop. It's. I think it's the same old Cro Cop. I think if anything, he's probably more dangerous now, just because he wants to prove to everybody else, and that's always kind of a scary thing. But it's, as a fighter, it's just you just look at the whole, and you just have to be the better athlete. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's bringing his A game or C game. You just make sure you bring your A's, and if he's the better fighter that night, he's the better fighter. But if you're the better fighter with your C game and he brings his A game, then hey, that works out too.
Hey, Roy, I guess what he was saying yesterday was at one point I said to him, Hey, Crow Cop, you're not an old man. And right away he goes, are you calling me an old man? And I said, no. I said, you're not an old man. And then I brought up the fact that I said, if there's one edge that Roy Nelson would seem to have, it would be, he's the better fighter on the ground, and if this fight gets to the ground, you might be in trouble. And he really got snarky with me, and he said, I can fight jiu-jitsu with anybody. I wasn't afraid to fight on the ground with Frank Mir, and I definitely will not be able to fight on the ground with Roy Nelson. Do you think it's a wise move if Crow Cop decides to get into a grappling contest with you?
If he wants to jump guard, that's fine. I mean, I think as a fighter, I think you're supposed to have that, that type of attitude. Like, I'm great at, jiu-jitsu, I'm great at striking or whatever. And if you're in the UFC, you got to be ready for everything. And that's good that he thinks that. It's just, but like for myself, like going, if he wants to jump guard, I don't mind being on top. I really don't.
Roy Nelson's with us. The Jewelers of Las Vegas MMA Insiders. Kevin Iole is here. I will stay out of your way, my friend. I will stay out of your way. I'm Steve Cofield. So you sound thinner.
I sound thinner?
Yes, your voice. You have a more gravelly voice normally, and the throat just sounds thinner. You're not going to give away what kind of condition you are in until we see you, huh? Is that going to be the big secret?
There's no secret with me. I'm an open book.
Okay. So how has it been going? Did you have you shed some weight, as some people thought you may need to?
That's
not an open book. Don't hesitate.
I'm just curious of who you've been talking to that says I need to lose some weight.
I don't know. It sounded like the big boss was kind of interested in that. Kevin, did he make it kind of clear that he thought maybe
Frank Fertitta?
This is your thing. Don't be putting me on the hook here. This is your thing.
Did Dana not make it clear that you guys were going to have a talk, right? What was that ever brought up? Like, hey, Roy, maybe you could lose a little weight.
You know what? I've heard a lot of things. I heard Dana came to me and gave me a bet for 25 grand for every pound I lose, and I there's lots of things I've heard. So
did that bet actually happen?
I'm open to whatever you heard.
What was there a bet to lose some weight?
I don't know. I can't deny or confirm.
Open book. Open book! On the weight thing, do you get insulted when people keep bringing it up?
Do I get insulted? No. The thing is, I just know I'm a celebrity. Because there's three things that people want to know when you're a celebrity is your weight. You look at Us magazine, they're all talking about, oh, look at who lost so much weight, or look how much they put on, or whatever it is. And then the other part is, who you're sleeping with. And don't worry, I'm sleeping with my wife, so that one never comes up. And then the third one is how much money you make. Those are the three things everybody wants to know.
What went down? And
I have neither of the two that you have to worry about, so everybody just concentrates on my weight.
What went down in the conversation with Dana? Was it an ultimatum? Was it kind of like, hey, I just want to see a little more out of you?
You know what? That's one of those things. There's so much that I've heard, and I can't deny or confirm because there's just so much good stuff out there, and it's going straight to video. So I have one of those with those disclaimers where you can't say about it.
Roy Nelson's with us. What do you think of the reaction online after the fight against Mir? Did you think it went over the top and people were a little too critical?
You know what the bloggers?
Bloggers, fans reacting.
I try to open up and I look at like ESPN or like Yahoo Sports.
Attaboy, you're a smart guy.
But those are the ones I kind of look at. I don't look at any other websites. If there are any other websites, those are just like anybody with a server can put up a blog / MMA website.
Well, Roy, before we let you go, I guess I want to talk about the significance of the fight for both of you guys because, both of you guys coming off a couple of losses, desperately need a win. Does that make the fight any different when you're in a situation where, that, a win is going to be critical? If you had reeled off 4 or 5 in a row, you can afford a loss a lot easier than if you've lost 2 or 3 in a row. So does that put any extra pressure or make you approach the fight any differently?
No, because not in our business. I've seen people, worry about one loss and be cut after one loss. So having 2 losses, 3 losses. I even know a guy that has 4 losses, so it's not really that big of a, a loss is a loss. And, you're either going to be a good fighter or someone has your number that day or styles make matchups. I don't even concentrate on win losses anymore, because I know, just like rankings doesn't mean anything anymore, just off the fact that everybody that's beat me or whatever always gets in the top 10, which is weird, because if I'm supposed to be a nobody.
Nah. Well, before we get you out of here, I want to bounce around. You're a funny guy. Yeah, I want to bounce around to a couple of topics around the sport. You have gotten on mic. You've said some pretty interesting things after a fight. What do you think of what Chael Sonnen did after his win over Stan, calling out Silva? You like the style? You like the way he did it? Did it seem too premeditated?
You know what? He won, and he wants to fight for the belt. And what's a better way than ask for it? If you don't ask, you might not receive.
Yeah.
But I would have actually done Silva, and then after that I would have turned to Dana or Lorenzo or Frank and said, hey, make it freaking happen.
Can it be counterproductive, though? Like, does anyone in the sport actually have enough power as a fighter to go and hold out and say, I'm not going to fight that guy now?
From my understanding, I remember when Dana threatened to say he wasn't going to be champion anymore if he fights like that. So yeah. I could see him just take the belt. I mean, they took him belts from other fighters before.
That's actually a pretty good point. Pretty recent, too. Yeah, BJ and also with Strike for Overeem, they had a little problem there for a couple of days, and it was like, all right, well, the belt's gone, and so are you.
I was actually in Abu Dhabi when he threatened to take the belt away from him, Roy, and I was sitting probably about 8 feet away from Dana, and I could feel the heat radiating from his head. He was so mad that night.
But that's what I mean. I mean, they've taken belts away from some champions before. Yeah. But the thing is the fighters still go on, and because that's who people want to see. BJ got stripped, and BJ still fought and made more money, outside.
Matt Mitrione is on the card. You were one of the first guys who kind of blew us away with some commentary about Mitrione. You were in studio, I think it was right after the season, and you said, watch this guy. His hands are as good as anyone I've ever gone against, and I guess he's moving up the ranks, pretty quickly. Is he moving actually more quickly than you thought he'd be, or is he about where he'd be? Are you more impressed, less impressed?
What do you mean moving up the ranks?
Like his results so far, have they actually been more impressive than you expected, or are you trying to suggest that fighting Congo is not really moving up the ranks?
No, Congo's definitely a big jump for him compared to all his other fighters.
All right.
So Jet Congo's been close to the top as anybody's ever probably going to get. But I'm just saying, like, the other guys he's fought doesn't mean.
Yeah, I
think he's fought a couple of guys where when you go to UFC.com, there's been the black picture.
All right, so you're not keen on his competition. How good can he be?
You know what? He has probably the fastest hands I've ever seen out of any fighter, boxers, heavyweight, whatever I've ever seen. But that doesn't that's only one aspect of the game.
Might be an issue if he goes to the ground against someone more accomplished. Is that what you're saying?
We've definitely seen that's been some flaws. He, even in the house, he got guillotine choked.
All right, good deal.
It's like Melvin Glard. Melvin Glard is beautiful standing up.
What do you think about Melvin at the last card? Was that a cockiness deal where he overlooked Joe Lozon?
I don't think he overlooked. I think he was just overconfident. But that was the same way. He fought the same way right before that, and who did he fight before? Right before Lozon.
He destroyed Shane Roller.
Well, yeah. So it was like he was fighting Shane Roller, and he was doing the same bouncing around. Shane Roller caught him, but Shane Roller didn't jump on him.
Right.
And then after that, then he beat up Shane. Good
deal, Roy. We appreciate a couple minutes. You got any events? You got any appearances coming up before the fight? Anything you want to pop?
Right after the fight, the gun store. So hopefully it's a good. It'll be a good fight. So I don't mind going to the gun store on the 30th. But if I lose, then it's gonna be miserable.
Right. We don't. Yeah. Roy loses and has a gun in his hands. You get to go.
Exactly.
Go meet and greet. All right.
And then I might be a postal worker.
Well, there you go.
Good luck, Roy. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate having you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you. There you go. Roy Nelson, heavyweight with the UFC.